Student, risk and expected return, these are the two concepts that you will study in the entire subject, and it will come at various phases and at various stages. Uh, we are just starting this risk and expected return. In this lecture, we will understand the fundamental concept. How can we understand the risk? What is the uncertainty we are facing in the market? And what would be its role with the expected rate of return that you might expect from your investment in the market? But this topic will continue with the different chapters and in different phases, and it will cover the entire subject of your security and portfolio management. Student, I will discuss risk in much detail in the coming lectures. Over here, I'm just giving you a fundamental concept of risk and expected return. Whenever we use term risk, so currently you will assume that risk will be calculated with the help of standard deviation or variance. It's up to you what process you are applying. If you're working on Excel, so it's possible that earlier you calculate variance and then convert this information into standard deviation. So there are various tools that you might use. You can calculate standard deviation on a calculator or on a spreadsheet, or you can manually work on it. But whatever process you apply, the standard deviation that you will calculate will be taken as a risk in financial term. And student, expected return, as we discussed earlier, that expected return means you are applying various probabilities on the future possible returns. Whatever possibilities you are expecting, whatever probability you are applying is purely depending on your judgment on the future economic condition, and then the return you are expecting from that particular investment. So once you multiply this probability with the possible return, you can get the expected return. This situation that I discussed earlier, that if you have various economic condition in your understanding, so right now for simplicity, we are keeping it in three components that you are expecting that a strong economy will happen, but you are giving it probability of only 0.115, and you are generally expecting that there is no major change occur in the economy, and you are giving it probability of 0.7. So this is important to understand that this is not necessary that similar percentage will always be applied. You can change probability depending on your future forecast. In a similar way, the rate of return is also not constant. It is also varying depending on your projection about the future. Once you multiply, you can get the expected return, that if uh, this probability will happen in the market, these are the returns that I am expecting, that what possible return I can get from my investment. Risk might be measured with the help of variance, or you can convert it into standard deviation. And you have already fundamental understanding in your statistical courses, but here too we will discuss in much detail. Variance might also be calculated with the help of this formula. This might be used if question is providing you probability and you have a possible return and expected return. So once you multiply and get the final result, so that result will be taken as a variance, which can give you idea that how your uh, return is varying from the average position of overall return. You can either convert this information into standard deviation, and to calculate standard deviation from the variance information, so simply convert this information to square root, then you can get the standard deviation. And finally, student, we can calculate coefficient of variation, that in short terms we call it CV. It requires two information, the risk, and we divide it by the expected rate of return. So if both the informations are available, you know the standard deviation of the return and you know the expected rate of return. Once you divide it, you can get risk per unit of return. This is a very important tool when you are analyzing different investment portfolio, and on the basis of coefficient of variation you can decide that which portfolio or which investment is lower risky as compared to the other one.